What is up, guys? Welcome back to T-Dog Customs, to another video. My name is Tanner, and if you're new to the channel, because I have had some recent, quite a few subscribers, this is my 24 valve swapped YJ Jeep. Got the P-pump conversion and slow process on 1-ton axles. Use that. So, but what we're doing today is I'm going to go into great detail and actually pull this all apart so you guys can understand exactly what you need to do for the YJ, or not YJ, for the second gen or the first gen. It really doesn't matter, but what you're going to be really focusing on is the GM one wire alternator. They're about 60-70 bucks on Amazon, very cheap, and they eliminate the need for an external regulator, which, if you know anything about these Cummins, particularly like the first gens have them, they're plagued with issues over time. They just pop out of the blue, and then they start overcharging, undercharging, all that sort of nonsense. So today what we're going to be doing is I have a GM and man, I've got a coolant leak somewhere. I think it's coming from this hose here, but it just every now and then sprays out somehow. But if you can see down in here, I will get more light on the subject so you guys can actually see that. But down in there, there's a bracket that I made, and I'm gonna take this alternator completely off and kind of go over all that with you, what exactly you will need to do to get the GM one wire alternator to just literally bolt up. You keep the top bracket the same, so there's no need to adjust that. You will have to shave some off of here, which I will, like I said, go over. And I think this video is going to help a lot of you guys out who are struggling with, like, do I pay $500-600 bucks for the one wire alternator conversion? Do I try to convert my alternator to a one wire, or do I just spend 60 bucks for a GM? And they're super readily available and cheap to just pick up at any auto store and just go to town with it, or order off of Amazon. Like I said, I will put a link to the one that I purchased down in the description, and I'm also considering making some brackets already made with all the correct spacing, like a little kit for specifically these bolting to a Cummins. It's very simple, guys, very simple. So we're gonna just dive right in, and I'm gonna start by taking this off. I'm gonna move this out of the way if I can, and literally the first step to this is you're gonna take your tensioner off, take the belt off, and then there's a bolt right here. You're gonna take that off, and there's a bolt right here. You're going to unbolt that, and literally your alternator will pop right off. Now on the back, you will notice there is one bolt right here, like this comes from your battery, and then over here I've got a ground. This is ground for the alternator. Those are the only things you need. You're gonna need a ground, and most of the time you might not even need a ground if your bracket that holds the alternator on is good. You know, you might not really need a ground as long as you've got a ground running from your engine to the frame, or you know, however your ground system is set up. But on mine, I just ran the ground, that way I knew I wouldn't have any issues at all. So I'm gonna set you guys up on the tripod, and we'll just go ahead and take this apart. The Cummins being in this Jeep, these things really mess with you. So under normal circumstances, this wouldn't be an issue. All right. So we got the belt off. And I didn't throw any Loctite, but these Cummins vibrate so much that when you install these for like your final time, you might want to stick some Loctite on there just to help out. All right, now before we get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to go to the back side of this and remove the ground and the positive. Now, if you don't disconnect your battery, remember that the lead running to your alternator is going to be live. So you know, if you're just now installing this, then you will need to run a pretty thick, you know, cable running from your battery to your alternator. That is the cable that is going to be charging your battery. So it's very important that you have a big cable to support that kind of charging system. Move this out of the way. There we go. Now try to do this without losing the pieces. There we go. Come on. Alright, let's go over to the bench. I'll first cover the back side of this. This right here is where your positive wire goes, and this right here is where your ground wire is going to go. Easy enough. So when you get this alternator, most of the time it comes with a one belt adapter or a one belt pulley here. Alright, so you'll have to get this belt or this pulley off of your existing one, or get one, you know, it's not going to come with this, is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, once you do that, you literally just pop this off and the old one will pop on. Make sure you keep these fins on here. I believe this is for cooling, so you want to keep that on. And then that takes us to this part right here, which is very simple. And I will show you guys what I have done here. So we're gonna kind of get down into some issues. So one thing I did the first time I made this, I had the spacing wrong, and the belt wanted to go towards the engine. So like on the actual I guess it's the crank pulley, or no, it's not the crank pulley, it's where the clutch fan pulley would go. It was like one tooth over into the engine, so it may have even gone more potentially, I don't know. But so I moved it, figured out the spacing so you guys wouldn't have to. And the spacing, how it works pretty much is the bracket. So with this being on the engine here, This is the front. The way the bracket works that's on the Cummins is offset a little bit. So it's going to be more like this, fit in this space, and there will be a gap right here where this goes. So this is the correct spacing you will need. Sorry, I've got a whole bunch of kids at my house and they're just screaming. Anyways, so this is the correct spacing you'll need on the front side, on this side, and then we'll cover the spacing on the back side. But let's see if I can get this, show you guys the spacing. So we got this right here. So this is going to be one line under 2 centimeters. So the spacing that you will need to keep your belt in line perfectly with the rest of the pulley system is going to be 1 centimeter. Let's see, 1 centimeter. Well, one line under 2 centimeters, if that makes sense. So you've got your line for 2 centimeters. The line before it is what that's going to be. So that is the spacing. That is for the front. And this is how I achieved that with random stuff I had around. And that is perfect for that. Let's see for the back side. And it's pretty much going to be 2 centimeters exactly for the back. So they're very close. You might even be able to get away with, 2 centimeters up front and 2 centimeters in the back. But just for my specific use, this is one line under 2 centimeters for the front and 2 centimeters exactly in the back. Now I didn't have a short enough bolt, so I had to make these spacers. But that will all come with time. So that is all you need to do, guys. Then we've got the actual bracket itself, which is extending. Now it's not this small hole. This was just for my test fitting purposes. But let's take the center. And we'll go to the center of this first hole. About right there, guys. Yep. So guys, the spacing from the center of this hole to the center of the hole that the bracket will go through, where your other bolt, whoops, that's the wrong bolt. Where is that bolt? Okay, right here. So where your other bolt goes through, which is right here, it's this one. It's not this hole right here. It is this hole. And the spacing on that, I don't know if you guys can see, but is exactly 2.5 centimeters. So you're going to want to make your bracket. You might even want to make it like you see here with a little wiggle room. That way you can kind of finagle it into place. So how this would actually go is you would run your bolt through, and then ideally your spacing would be already set up right like that, and welded into place right like that. So, and then you can see we have this spaced offset. So what I plan on doing is welding this hopefully right to here, and so it's like more of like a one unit. Now what we're gonna do is figure out how to best weld this. So the one thing that we haven't talked about yet is at this point right here. So when you buy this alternator, it's going to come with a lip on the front facing side. So if we can get this up close, if you can see that, you're going to have to grind this lip down. So the best way to do that, just take your angle grinder, or if you've got a good sander, and probably grinder the best route, because you're going to have to take this all the way down quite a bit. It's probably 1/8 of an inch that will have to come off. If you look at the lip here, you can leave the back one on, but the front one is gonna have to come down, and once you do that, coupled with this, the dimensions and the spacing we mentioned, you will be set up, and literally it will bolt right in. And I'm telling you, you won't have to worry about anything. This bolt, I believe, this bolt right here, I believe it came with the alternator, but if you look at it, you'll see it doesn't go all the way through, and that is because on the GM alternator, this is threaded. So it literally bolts through and threads like that. So it doesn't go through to here. Plenty strong, rigid, like it. Don't worry about, oh, is it gonna bounce around? It doesn't. It does just fine the way it is. This is the bracketry. This one goes staggered like this. So this is the front of your engine. This is what it'll look like. This will go on the front, this will go on the back, and it'll sandwich in there like this, and you've pretty much got the same offset on either side. Originally I was looking for black paint, spray paint, but it appears that I am all out, so I just went with the gray that we have the axles painted, just so this doesn't rust in the meantime. Right, we're gonna go back together with this. I'll show you guys what exactly we're gonna do here. This one goes right like this. So this is going to be your front one. Then we are going to go in with the back one like this. Come on, there we go. And then we got our 3 spacers here, which I'm going to reuse. All right, boom. And then that spaces out everything for that right there. So this is exactly what it's going to look like. Like I was mentioning earlier, eventually when I make the kit, it is going to come all as one unit. So you literally just slide it in, and these two will be tied together, so it will be perfectly aligned for you already. And I'll probably try to source the hardware as well, just so it's one simple kit. It comes with everything, and it will be super easy for you guys to do this. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down a little bit while we're here. Kind of give it the ugga-duggas here. Alright guys, I did want to jump in here real quick because I almost forgot this, and it can be pretty important. The alternator I have, when I first installed it, I thought it didn't work. I thought it was faulty. But you have to read your specific alternator you buy. But a lot of these come with a self-exciting, like an RPM that excites the alternator, which means it has to see like 1200 RPMs or 1000 RPMs before it actually starts charging. So just keep that in mind. When I first did my swap, I was like, oh no, my alternator's not charging. I didn't see 14 volts or 14.5 volts until I blipped the throttle, and then it started charging. So then I found out it, excites at 1200 RPMs or whatever. So keep that in mind. You might have to, if you just start up yours, it might not start charging until you give it a little rev, and then it starts charging. Not a big deal for me, but if you go to buy an alternator, I think you can buy different RPM levels that get excited. So just keep that in mind, and don't freak out if you do it and it's not charging. Blip your throttle a little bit and you should be good to go. So I just wanted to throw that in there for your benefit, so you don't order a new alternator or send yours back. Chances are it just hasn't reached an RPM that it excites it. All right, perfect. We got that in. So once you get that bottom side in, it's gonna be easiest if you bolt the top side in now, like that. And remember, this is what it's gonna look like. And it just goes into this right here, but I'm going to use some Loctite. If you know anything about Cummins engines, you will know that they vibrate the crap out of whatever they are in, and Loctite is always a go-to of mine to ensure that things stay where they are supposed to stay. Alright, so now that everything is actually in, you can actually crank this puppy down, get it nice and tight, and it will bring it flush up to where it needs to be. Alright, so that's nice and tight there. Now we have these two bolts we want to tighten down. We've got the one where like the pivot point is. So that right there, this is the bolt I'm calling the pivot point bolt. And then this is the bolt that we will run Loctite on. And once we get that tightened down, we're golden, and we can go ahead and put the belt back on. Come on, focus. So yeah, once we get that on, we'll be able to have this back in operating condition. Once we put the battery terminals on the back, back together and, you know, all plugged in, we will be golden. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that's been helpful. It should be. If there's any questions about, you know, more specifics, I feel like I've covered everything specifically, and I don't feel like there's anything else I can really cover on that. But I will say this, potentially here, my cousin just bought a really cool CNC machine, and I think I'm going to kind of collaborate with my cousin and stick up some, you know, mock up some drawings with him, kind of sit down, go over this, and come up with a kit specifically for this GM alternator. It is the easiest conversion, arguably easier than converting your alternator over. So I believe it's probably one of the easiest conversions once you have the correct you know, dimensions and stuff that you're going to need. It literally just bolts in and it's quick. So if I can sell a kit where it all comes together, you know, reach out to me, because if I get some interest in the kit, I am a lot more likely to go through the, you know, hassle and the time of sitting down with him and drawing up brackets and then welding them and making them just plug, pretty much like bolt in, perfect and ready to go. So yeah, drop a comment below if that is something you'd be interested in. Also reach out, you can, on my Instagram, T-Dog Customs, same spelling, TEEDOG Customs. So reach out on Instagram. I will link all my social medias. I even have TikTok, I believe it is. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up if it has been. Hopefully it's short, sweet, to the point, and hopefully you guys can get something out of this.